Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. In this lesson, we're gonna evolve the demo applications in such a way that they will be able to send and receive SMS that contains non-English characters. Keep in mind that you need to consider the file encoding, SMS encoding, and the parameter data coding. Another purpose of this lesson is to integrate the skills that we've learned in the previous lessons. Alright, let's get started. First of all, I'm gonna turn on the SMPP sim acting as an SMS center. This one. Then I'm gonna bind the receiver to the SMSC. The receiver is here. It's a runnable jar triggered by a batch file, which I made in the 5th lesson. Turn it on. It says connected to the SMSC. In the SMSC, you can also see a receiver bound here. What I'm gonna do next is to send an SMS to the receiver. Open up the web page. Send a hello. Receiver received it. The same text as a web page. Now I'm gonna send some non-English characters. I'm gonna try Chinese. Well, I've got some problems. Here, the content is wrong. Here, the content is changed and wrong. Maybe I'm not doing something correctly. Here, it actually says something. Set data coding to 8. Let's give it a shot. It's here. Let's set it to 8. Let's resend the Chinese text. Nothing happened to the receiver, but the same problem happened to the sender. We know that SMS is sent from the sender to the SMSC, then the SMS is delivered from the SMSC to the receiver. So let's see what happened in between the sender and the receiver. In other words, we're gonna see if the SMSC received the message. So, submit the Chinese text again. Now you can notice that SMSC received the message. Here, the source address are the same. Here, so are the destination address and they are empty. Well, I'm gonna put something here. Submit the Chinese text again. Now you see both types of addresses are matching, but the short message is not quite what I wanted. But for the time being, I'm not gonna mess with the SMSC. It could be complicated. Instead, I'm gonna look into my receiver program, Eclipse. This is a receiver program written in Java. It's very simple. Here, it's the source code. We know Java program starts from the main function. This block, which starts by telling you the program starts, like here. This and this, you see, are the same. This line, making an instance of the class, then binds to SMSC. Let's see more details in this function. You see, this text is exactly here. Like here. This and this are the same. Then the program falls into an endless loop and receives SMS. In each loop, the program tries to receive a PDU within 1500 milliseconds. If the PDU is received, then it will be processed. Here, it's checking whether the data coding is 0 or not. Remember, we've set the data coding to 8 in the web page. Here, when you don't put any value to the data coding, it was by default 0. And this is checking whether the data coding is 0 or not. The receiver seemed able to receive the SMS because this chunk of text would be printed. Just like this. And this. I think this explains why the receiver doesn't receive the SMS just now. In order to verify this, I'm going to do a breakpoint debug at the third lesson. I'm going to set a breakpoint here. The binding process, I'm positive about it. The program starts here. The breakpoint is here. Now let's debug. The breakpoint is here. The program is paused at this line. Next line. No problem at this line. The program is paused at this line. Next line. No problem here either. As expected, the receiver is connected to the SMSC. Now every doubt of mine is against this function, receiving SMS. I want to see more details, so I click this Step Into button. The program is paused at this line. Continue. Now you can see PDU received, which is simply null. If the PDU is not null, then this chunk of code will be implemented. Because I didn't submit any SMS to the SMSC, the PDU will always be null. Let's submit one. Let's see. Now you see the PDU have some content. Let's see what's in it. Destination address. That's correct. And short message, you can't really see the text because it's an array of bytes. You see? Here's just doing a typecasting. Next line. Now let's see what is in the SMS. You see the data coding equal to 8. No surprise the receiver couldn't receive the SMS minutes ago. Believe it or not, this expression does not hold true. I'm gonna use the expression evaluating feature of Eclipse. Click Window, Views, and Expressions. Click here and paste your expression. It's 8, not 0, so this block will be ignored. Let's make the program do something when data coding is 8. I'll copy and modify the code here and here. Alright, fill in this else if block. I've changed the comment and the prompt text. Leave this alone. This two and these two, and save it. This time, I'm gonna set a breakpoint here. And start the debugger. Seems nothing happened because I haven't submitted any message yet. Now I'll do it. Here the receiver got the message, which is a good thing. The source address and the destination address is correct, but the content is wrong. So what is causing this problem? I haven't decoded the SMS yet. To do this, I'm gonna use the overload of this function. Taking an input argument of string type, which indicates encoding. Among all these options, I use UTF-16. Alright, I think this is how I process receive SMS when the data coding is 8. Save the file, restart the receiver. Wait, don't forget to turn it off. Now start it and test it again. Here, I see the correct content. Now I'm gonna try other languages. Let's say Mongolian. Still working pretty well, see? Let's see, how about Hindi? Oh no. Let's see, the data coding is right. I think it caused a problem. Let's see. Data coding is 8, so go into this block. Let's see its value. Alright, you see? Maybe something is wrong with the file encoding. Let's see. Let's quit the debugger first and see the properties of the source code file. You see, the current file encoding is this. Let's change it to UTF-8. Let's try again. This time, let's just run it. Here, you see? Let's also try other languages. Mongolian. Done. Chinese. See? We're making progress. Keep in mind that SMS is encoded with UTF-16 instead of UTF-8. You can try otherwise like this, but I'm not doing this in this tutorial. Alright, so far we have a receiver that's able to receive SMS containing non-English characters. You can try more languages if you want. By the way, if you try on the command line console, make sure you install the necessary language packs. Remember we started the whole development from this thing, data coding. In the program, I'm also checking the data coding here and here. The question is, what is data coding? Let's try to get the answer from the SMPP protocol spec. Then search data coding. Alright, I've got 12 results. Let's see them one by one. It says data coding defines the encoding scheme of the short message user data. As we learned in the 6th lesson, ESME sends PDU to the SMS center. The PDU contains the short message data. If you ever seen the source code of the SMPP library jar, you find submit SM class has a method set short message data. I'll give a link in the description. This data is encoded maybe with UTF-16 or ASCII, something like this. So the parameter data coding tells how this data is encoded. Next, the same thing again, the same thing again. Alright, this is interesting. It tells me what it means when data coding equals to 0 and what it means when data coding equals to 8. Here it says data coding is 0, it means something, which is MC specific C footnote. Okay. The footnote says this encoding scheme is default alphabet of MC, may be different for different vendors, locations, or MC technologies. MC is referring to the message center. You can find out its definition in the same document. It also says it's not a great idea to use this setting. The document also explains this scenario. When data coding is 8, the coding scheme is UCS2. I understand UCS2 as the older version or ancestor of UTF-16. In other words, UCS2 is obsolete and replaced by UTF-16. The footnote also says this coding scheme is common to those widely used communication technologies. Let's see what else we've got about data coding. This one's not really relevant. Neither is this. Back to the program. You can notice when data coding is 8, the coding scheme is UTF-16. When data coding is 0, the coding scheme follows the SMS center, which in this example is ASCII. Alright, this is data coding the SMPP parameter. Now let's develop the transmitter program in the same way. Let's start from the program here. I'll give the link in the description for you to download the source code. This is a program that binds transmitter, then sends one SMS and exits the program. The SMS related information is specified here. The source address, destination address, and the content of the short message. Here, the program binds transmitter. Alright, let's have a look at its behavior. Quick tip. If you ran a program recently, you can do it from here. If you never ran it before, right-click on the source code Run as and Java application. Binds to SMS message submitted and program terminated. Here you might notice the program is not really terminated. Also, it's not a proper way to exit an SMPP program. Instead, unbind first, then exit. The future lesson will cover the topic of unbind, but it's not the focus of this lesson. Let's continue. Let's see what we've got in the receiver. Here is the message received. Now let's change the content of the message and put some non-English characters. Save the file and run. Back to the receiver. Something wrong with the content. Before fixing that, I want to make my testing process easier because switching between these Eclipse consoles is kind of tedious. I can run the receiver with a runnable jar file, like this. If you don't know how to make one, you can watch the 5th lesson. Remember, I modified the receiver just now. I need to apply the same change to the runnable jar file. All I need to do is open it up with a compression software like WinRAR. I use this one. And replace this class file with an updated one, which is in my Eclipse workspace. Now I'm gonna find out the updated class file and put it into a runnable jar file. If you don't know where your Eclipse workspace is located, you can find out the properties of the project file. So select the project, right-click on it, then open the properties. Here, it's my workspace. I can even copy this location. There you go. Now I'm gonna find out the updated class file and put it into a runnable jar file. It's in the bin folder, which contains the class file that are already compiled. This one. You can see the modification date and compare it with your current date time. Drag and drop. Then replace. Also compare this date time with your current date time. Now I'm gonna turn on the receiver. Then fire up the transmitter. The received content is not correct, obviously. When I send that message from the web page, I set the data coding as 8, if you still remember. I'm gonna do the same thing to the transmitter program. This method is what we need. The input parameter is 8, but the data type is byte. I'm gonna do a typecasting. Save the file. Run the program. We can notice some changes on the received content, but it's not really what I want to see. Maybe I need more breakpoint debug on the receiver. Keep the receiver running. I'm gonna trigger the transmitter program from the MS-DOS console. So I update the runnable jar file. Oops, received a PDU, but it's just empty. Alright, I send a message to the receiver. This is what I've got in the receiver. Data coding is 8, it's correct. So this else block will be executed. I'm interested in this expression. You see, it's not okay. Let's solve the problem as would have done to the receiver program. First of all, let's see the file encoding of the transmitted source code file. This can cause problems. You see, the file encoding is this. So let's change it to UTF-8. Turn on the receiver and transmitter. Nah, still not correct. Let's see. Look, my short message content is changed. Did you see that? Keep in mind that change the hard-coded non-English characters in the file when you change the file encoding. So, I'm gonna correct my SMS content. Save the file and run the program. Still doesn't seem to work. Why is that? The file encoding is UTF-8, which is correct. And we already set the data coding to 8, haven't we? But you know, the parameter data coding simply defines the encoding scheme of the short message user data. But we still need to do some extra work to encode the short message data. Data coding being 8 means the encoding scheme of the SMS data is UCS2 or UTF-16. So I have to encode my SMS with UTF-16. Remember, it's UTF-16, not UTF-8. But let's try with UTF-8 and see what will happen. Save the file and run the program. The received content is wrong, although I'm sure I sent the correct one. See? So if I encode my SMS with UTF-16, I received the right message. Well, I guess I've talked pretty a lot. I'm gonna give you a brief summary. When you send or receive SMS with non-English characters with SMPP protocol, first of all, make sure the file encoding of the source code allows you to do so. In Eclipse, for example, you do it by checking the properties of the source code file. In the resource section, choose Other, choose UTF-8. Second of all, remember to encode your SMS. In the receiver, make sure to decode with the same scheme like this. Third of all, set your data coding parameter to the right value. 0 is default, and 8 is typical. This is how you use the parameter in the receiver. In transmitter, it goes like this. Alright, that's it. Hope you've learned something. Thanks for watching. Peace.